Seeing people finding their seats. So it seems like it's about that time, so I'll kick it off. Welcome, everybody, to today's Bringing It Home Healthy Energy Living session. Glad everyone can join us today. Good afternoon to our friends in the East. Good morning to our friends in the West and everyone in between, and those in the North as well, of course. My name is Corey Cote. I will be today's moderator. And before we get started, I would like to first acknowledge that I am broadcasting to you today from unceded and unsurrendered Algonquin territory here in Ottawa. And I do encourage everyone to say hi and tell us where you're tuning in from in the chat. So as we move on, I guess the first thing I can do is introduce myself. I am a coordinator here at ICE with the Bringing It Home initiative. And through Bringing It Home, we are looking at how we can scale up energy efficiency in Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit communities, and how we can create what we are calling an enabling environment. So within Bringing It Home, we talk a lot about this concept of healthy energy living. And we take an important look at energy efficiency, and not just how energy efficiency relates to energy, but how it intersects with health. So through Bringing It Home, we are currently working with 6 guide communities from across Canada. And today we are lucky enough to be joined by exceptional project leads from 3 of these communities who are here to share a little bit about how they are pursuing healthy energy living in their communities through energy efficiency projects. So joining me today to talk a little bit more about what healthy energy living means to them, I'm joined by Leon Cardinal from Fishing Lake Métis Settlement in Alberta, Melissa Mcdonald from Red Rock Indian Band in Ontario, and Leona Hamczyk from Healthsick First Nation of Bella Bella on the West Coast in BC. So we are doing this session and we're hearing from our panel about healthy energy living, but we also want to hear from you, the audience, because we do know there's a lot of experience out there. So before we get started with the presentations, we are going to kick off this session with a quick poll to give us a sense of who out there is working on or has worked on an energy efficiency project. So please take a few seconds to answer and we'll move on. And I guess while we're doing that, I can give a quick breakdown of how the session will run. We are going to start by hearing from each of our guide community leaders, and then I will follow up with some quick Q&A with them. And then we are actually going to go into some breakout rooms, so you, the audience, can have some more intimate time with our speakers to give you a chance to ask a few questions and even share some of your own insights and experiences. Okay, so we'll give you some time here with the poll. Looks we're about 50-50, and that's awesome. And of course, I should mention the other guide communities that we are working with through Bringing It Home, of course. That would be Animigu Zagagan Nishnabek in Ontario as well, and Isla Cross in Saskatchewan. Can never get that name out, but okay, looks like the quiz is wrapping up. We have about 54% of you have answered yes, or 51% have answered yes to working on an energy efficiency project, so that's interesting. I'm looking forward to hear more about that. So we'll move on and start with some of our presentations now that the introductions are out of the way. So I will step aside and throw it over to our first speaker, Leon Cardinal, to tell us a bit more about give us some insight into his work.
Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to those in the East. I am Leon Cardinal. I'm living in the Fishing Lake Metis settlement in Treaty 6 territory, right along the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, sandwiched between Frog Lake and Saskatchewan. So there's 8 settlements in the province of Alberta, and you can see where we are located in that little dot at the very bottom. So a year ago, we were coming out of the Accelerator launch through Indigenous Homes Innovation Initiative, and we were really excited to get things moving. And we had all these plans, things were starting to come together, and bang, COVID hit and everything stopped. And it really, we had to stop and refocus on how we were going to move things forward to begin a process where we needed to do mass engagement with our community. And so what we missed from that time, what we didn't have was the mentorship, the in-person mentorship and support that would have been available through the Bringing Home Initiative and Indigenous Clean Energy. So we had to really adapt to how we were going to do this. My background definitely isn't in engagement, but I have a little bit of a background in it now, thanks to COVID. So to build this capacity, we actually had to stop and build the capacity from within first. So we started off this with some in-person sessions, best that we could, with all the protocols in mind, and we had 5 of them, and we engaged youth, the elders, and the membership at large. Because of the protocols, it made it very, very difficult. So we did that on an ongoing basis for a while, and then we adapted and decided that we needed to do a survey. We did an online survey in hopes that we could reach a larger audience. And we did that. When it was all said and done, we reached about 10% of, we got actual responses from 10% of our membership here, our population. So we were very pleased with that. All things considered, it's always nice to have more, but in these times, we got some very, very good feedback on that. So again, we were down to where we couldn't do anything. So we were forced to take this approach, and we had a total of 4 sessions, and we only got 20 people overall in those. And this was all done through Facebook and through the web pages of Fishing Lake. And so adapting to this was it created a lot of challenges along the way, and it actually forced my hand on quite a few times to be quite creative in how we were going to be able to pull this off. The feedback that we received is now being formulated into work plans and action plans that will carry us forward. And at the end of it, what the memberships really wanted to see, and from the youth, was they didn't want to see the same old, same old. They didn't want to see things that had always been done. We want to see things done differently, in many different ways, from the way things are managed to the way things are built, and to have a real positive impact within our community. So we need things that were locally constructed, more affordable to live in, better quality, sustainable, diverse, and healthier. We needed healthier environments to be healthier. So it was nice because we got this feedback, particularly from the kids, because they gave it to us very objectively. They told us just like it was. They didn't have no they didn't have the same sort of perspectives as those that own homes and are older have. So they were really, really critical to help us move forward. And at any point, if anybody has any questions, please don't be scared to fire away. And that's about all I have for that, Corey.
Perfect. Thank you, Leon. I know definitely with COVID, it's been a challenge engaging some of your community, and having worked with you on some of that, I know, like you said, we reached about 10% and got feedback, but the feedback that we did get was very passionate, right? And people do want to see that progress. So it's very, very good to see that. And I was very pleased with the engagement. Okay, so from that, we can shift over to our next speaker, Melissa.
Hello. All right, so I'm Melissa Mcdonald, and I'm the Community Energy Champion for Red Rock Indian Band. We are located in northwestern Ontario, which is about 120 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay. We have about 116 houses and 323 permanent residents living on reserve. So, as you heard already, the aim of the Bringing It Home initiative is to create a future where the community has homes and facilities that are rooted in long-term sustainability through design and financially, but having them affordable and using local implementation. So the results from this are durable and longer-lasting homes, healthier and safer, and cheaper to operate over short and long term. The initiative will solve the issues that current home occupants are having from some substandard construction practices, such as air leaking through doors and windows, mold issues, or insufficient heat. Red Rock's goal is to create construction policies that go beyond minimum building code and create net zero home plans for future construction. This will help stop the cycle of the substandard construction. We will also do energy and structural audits on all the existing reserve homes and do any retrofits needed to get them to net zero ready. So throughout the project, we will utilize local community members to do the retrofits, and we will provide training for the retrofit crew, energy auditors, and training for the home occupants for home maintenance plans. Throughout this project, I'm putting posts in our weekly newsletter with energy-related tips and updates on the energy project as we progress. Through the Bringing It Home initiative, we successfully secured funding with Indigenous Homes Innovation Initiative. This is a little bit what Leon was talking about. So it was a joint application between these three communities that have similar projects. So for Red Rock, our project will be constructing a highly energy efficient safe house facility for Indigenous women and children that will be on the reserve. So this project will help us utilize the construction policy that we're going to create that's going to go beyond minimum building code. And we can use the net zero standards for the building, utilize our local trained community members on the energy efficient construction techniques that we're going to be using to build the building. And that's a little bit about our project in Red Rock.
Thank you, Melissa. I know it's exciting to hear that about the net zero aspect, and also like that it's a safe house too. It fills a need for the community of course, being a safe house, but also the net zero, using that as a chance to build the local capacity and build the local workforce, use that as an opportunity to build the local workforce. I mean, that's just, two birds with one stone there. So, I'm really excited to see what comes out of that. Okay, so with that, we'll go on to our final speaker. Last but not least, we have Leona. You're on mute, Leona.
Whoopsie. AQ wheel mama asla dukulux nugwa hastakam nugwa. Good morning. Thank you, Corey. My name is Leona Hamczyk. I'm from the Celtic Nation of beautiful Bella Bella, British Columbia. And here to speak as one of the guide communities for the Bringing It Home initiative. And I wanted to kick off with a statement from one of my hereditary chiefs, Frank Brown. He said, "Our homes are lenses to the outside world. If we're living in broken homes, it doesn't give us hope for a healthy future. So through Indigenous Clean Energy, the Indigenous Off-Diesel Initiative, and Bringing It Home, we are building capacity for our local health to climate action team. We are currently engaging with our nation to create a community-led clean energy plan. The strategic orientation of my people, our ancestors' strategic orientation was sustainable development for the 7th generation and beyond. Some context: in 1883, Chief Hamczyk expressed to the Crown that we have done away with our culture, we've done away with our language, we've done away with our alcohol, but we have not done away with our old homes. We want to build homes like yours. Chief Hamczyk requested a sawmill to no avail. Celtic fundraised for 10 years and raised $3,000 to buy a second-hand Japanese sawmill. This was revolutionary to the building of our community. Healthy energy living was a desire then, and certainly can be unlocked through clean energy and sustainable investment for homes that last longer, are more durable, and more economic to maintain. One of our projects is strategic fuel switching. Our Celtic heat pump stories began in 2017 with assessments. In 2018, we commenced with a pilot project of 20 homes. A second round of 20 heat pumps were later installed. And I found that the beauty of pilot project is upon review, you can correct the trajectory. Most homes in Bella Bella are 2 stories, so the next installs we pivoted to central heating, using existing furnace ducts for an even distribution of heat and air condition. By March 31st, we will have retrofitted 129 of our 420 residential units. As part of clean energy planning and engagement with our people, we've shared with them that it's important to know that it costs less to save a kilowatt than to generate one. Heat and electricity bills on average per annum was $3,600 per home. Fuel switching to heat pumps eliminates 5 tons of greenhouse gas emissions annually. So with the 129 homes that we'll have completed by March, 645 tons of greenhouse gas emissions we will have eliminated. And we've also will have reduced our fuel consumption by 2,000 liters of diesel per home. Our dear friend Chris Henderson, in his book Aboriginal Power, talks about power and partnerships. Just wanted to acknowledge that, for the heat pump project, we've been working closely with EcoTrust Canada, our trusted friends of the Haysja. We've been blessed to work with them on funding and ongoing support for our heat pump projects. Our goal is to continue to find as much funding to retrofit all of our homes in the community. Working with our Indigenous National Network for Indigenous Clean Energy, Indigenous Off-Diesel Initiative, and Bringing It Home, we have opportunities to leverage the scales of economy, share our successes and lessons learned. One common value that I have learned from the participants that I have networked with now through these organizations is that First Nations people across Canada have one common theme, is that we take care of the land and it takes care of us. We hope our national leadership and recognition of our collaborative efforts will unlock financing of our capital projects. In the immediate and long term, we're looking to do deep retrofits in our community. It's important to know that, you know, a lot of our homes are mold infested, and you know, heat. We're addressing the heat issue, but we also have to look to the building envelope. And we've recently purchased a sawmill for value add for our forest resources. We're excited about the benefits, which will include value added, you know, being able to not only harvest and sell our wood, but be able to add value by cutting it and meeting the needs of our people locally. We have benefits in terms of our planning for bioenergy opportunities, district heating, deep retrofits to our residential units. Since COVID, the cost of lumber has inflated by 30%, and the cost of getting a pallet of goods to Bella Bella will cost X number of dollars, but to get it here is equal to or more. So we want to minimize economic leakage, diversifying economic opportunities to land as our ocean resources decline. We want to support the supply and demand of our neighbors based on our value of reciprocity. Working toward a green economy, we know that 80% of biodiversity is intact where Indigenous people reside around the world. Sustainability is paramount. Renewable energy and clean energy plans are important critical paths, and our nation is having robust community engagement sessions to create those long-term plans. Community buy-in creates legitimacy on what's important to us as a collective and for our future generations. Our eldest matriarch said, "Ekilaksi kantwakawisak." Take good care of our land. Together we can preserve our lands with the gifts from the Creator, earth, air, sun, and water, to create renewable and regenerative green economies. Our call to action: support Healthsick and First Nations across Canada that are working hard to utilize our intrinsic values to develop clean, green, and sustainable economies for our children's tomorrows. As the world combats COVID-19, we ask that you take good care and keep safe. Wallace Gaska.
Wow, thank you, Leona. That's such a powerful presentation. And I mean, I want to go back to your point about like collaboration and partnerships. That, I mean, this is something that we're experiencing almost across the country in many, many communities, right? So like that collaboration is so important, and it's something that we're really trying to achieve through bringing it home. So we're sharing resources, sharing best practices, lessons learned, and that's something that's really what we really see as a solution, working together rather than working alone. Okay, so I see a lot of questions coming in through the chat. I ask people, please keep submitting them. We'll try to get to them. If not in the breakout rooms, we can actually have them answered by the panelists, and we can share it on the ICE network. So if you go to icenet.work, and hopefully someone from our support can put that in the chat, we'll have those answered there, and everyone can have their questions addressed. Okay, perfect. So 3 great presentations. We'll move on to some questions. So I have a couple of questions for the panel here that I pre-prepared. First off, I want to know what healthy energy living, what that really means to you. So I'll start off with Leona. I'll bring you back on right away.
Well, I wanted to share that recently I completed my Master of Business Admin at SFU, and my final capstone project was regarding reconciliation and housing. And I could tell you what healthy energy living is not. And, you know, a lot of our homes are mold infested and built with, substandard material. And, we continue to move toward engaging our people. And that's new for us. And, with COVID, we had to pivot from where we would gather in person as a community to online. And that's been really, challenging, but we're overcoming those barriers by, really working together as a team and wanting to address the needs of our people by asking them what's important to them in terms of clean and renewable energy. And we've pivoted to a platform called Othello, and it's a community engagement platform that we've been using to connect with our people and get their important input through questions about the state of their homes and what they need and how important is clean energy to them. So yes, we're working really hard with our people.
Perfect. Who better to get feedback from than the people who are actually experiencing it firsthand? So that's great to hear. So I'll pose the same question to Leon. What does healthy energy living mean to you?
It means housing, I guess, that fits the lifestyle, fits the people, fits the culture, fits the environment, fits the economics, fits the leadership, and it creates, it has balance for us, and not something that is an ongoing problem, but something that can add to our lives rather than be a source of ongoing it's an ongoing issue. So hopefully we can get to that point where healthy energy living means housing is not an issue, but it has become a solution to a better life.
Yeah, definitely, Leon. Thank you very much. I can agree with that. Hard to argue with that. Lastly, I'll pose the same question to you, Melissa.
Healthy energy living to me is having healthy homes and healthy buildings in the community. So that's good construction that, prevents mold and, inadequate heating and stuff like that, which reduces sickness. Also reducing the energy consumption, which reduces the costs for the community and for the homeowners, and doing whatever we can to lessen the impacts on the environment, I think, is also healthy energy living.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. So I'll keep you here. I have another question for you, Melissa. All three of you are working towards the same goal, towards this healthy energy living in your communities, and you're trying to sort of achieve the same thing and change housing for the better. So I just want to know what are the three biggest impacts that you're hoping to achieve by bringing your respective projects to life in your community?
Changing the direction of the housing construction and maintenance practices, changing what's currently happening because we know it's not working. So if we change what's not working, we'll have longer lasting homes, which are energy efficient. So that's one impact. Having the homes be healthier and safer. So again, the better air quality, no molds, no air leaking, the sufficient heat, and also saving the community and the home occupants money overall. So like lower power bills, possibly reducing medical bills, asthma or, and then having the longer lasting homes so they don't have to build homes as often. So saving money, being healthier and better construction.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. So I'll go back to you, Leon, with the same question.
Well, I think the biggest impact is breaking cycles, meaning we don't do the same old, same old. We look and find solutions to problems. We don't try to build off something that isn't working. We're going in a totally new direction. And the second thing from that would be sustainability. I hope we can create that sustainability. And the third is actually hope for our youth, that they do not have to have the same volatile types of communities where there's no security and that moving forward. So I'm really hoping that we make those changes.
Yeah, I mean, through your community engagement, the youth really wanted to see some change, and they don't want the same old, same old. That quote came up a few times during the engagement sessions, so it's great to hear that you're taking that into account. Okay, and for Leona, the same question. What are the 3 biggest impacts that you're hoping to achieve with your project?
Well, working from the Bringing It Home framework to support us in delivering, greater impacts and creating the enabling environment, I really believe, good governance is important to create a local housing authority where we're not working in silos and we're working collaboratively, and we're able to, leverage each other's program dollars to have a greater impact in supporting my nation's members in their homes. We'd like to have a positive impact on the climate. As I mentioned, our strategic orientation as First Nation people is long-term, so we really want to make an impact for, our future generations. And most importantly is, hope for a healthy living condition for our community members. It's actually a very sensitive spot, and I know that many communities across Canada have very, very poor quality homes. And I lost one of my aunts to thyroid cancer, and I really believe that her mold-infested home was part of the reason of why she got cancer. And it's important that we, make that impact for our future generations, that there's hope when we, are looking out of our homes, from healthy homes, to have a hope for a healthy future.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Leona. So you all sort of talked about breaking that cycle and creating healthier homes, and it really shows how important housing is to a community. It sort of affects everything from social aspects to health. I mean, right across the board. It really, if you can create that environment, it would really benefit everybody. Okay, so I have the next question here lined up for you. I'll go back to Melissa. So Melissa, in your view, how do we make sure improvements that we make today stick around for the long term in your community?
How do we make it stick around for the long term? For me, I thought having the maintenance plans and policies. So maintenance plans for the maintenance crew, just to make sure that they are doing their part and checking on things on a regular schedule, but then as well as the home occupants. So they need to be accountable for certain things inside the home, maybe like cleaning the HRV unit or, your furnace filter, more basic stuff. The housing policy, I thought would, however it's written, but making sure that it holds people accountable for not following the plan. So if the home occupant isn't changing their furnace filter when they're supposed to, or the HRV breaks down because they weren't maintaining it, then having some kind of repercussions for that. And also construction policy and standards, just making sure that those are being followed for the future builds, and having them like verified with inspections and stuff. Just so kind of just making sure that things are being followed. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Strong policies, definitely. And I mean, maintenance is important. As we all know, we can build a great house, but if we don't maintain it, then suddenly it's not performing to the level it should be. So I'll pose the same question to you again here, Leon.
Creating community vision. If everybody gets to be on the same page, it makes it that much easier to push things forward. And also developing the enabling environment that is identified within bringing it home. You know, those 6 components working together. I don't know if we have a slide or anything to bring it up, but those 6 components working together to create this environment where you have all the pieces, all the tools to have a sustainable program. I wish I had the slide here right in front of me, and I would have held it up.
Yeah, thanks, Leon. Yeah, the enabling environment is sort of the environment that it's everything in place that a community needs to be able to function and move ahead and stay consistent with energy efficiency and really drive that progress. So the same question for you, Leona. In your view, how do you make sure we make improvements, or sorry, how do you make sure the improvements we make today stick into the future? Oh, and here's the enabling environment on the screen being shared by someone. So we have the financing, the maintenance, the design and construction. Those are like really the capital side of things. And then we have asset management, governance, and leadership and skills. So those really are, comes back to community capacity and being able to, having the knowledge and education to actually undertake projects and make energy efficiency a priority. Okay, so Leona, I'll bring the same question to you.
Am I off mute? Thank you, Corey. Yeah, just to a little bit more context about what both Melissa and Leon shared in terms of enabling environment. And I know that, you know, for us, it's really important as Indigenous people that we continue to have growth in place. So capacity building is huge. We're remote and isolated, and you know, that's another, you know, I see potential benefit of, you know, having to pivot to online engagement is that our people aren't going to have to leave home to be able to build capacity in terms of maintenance and, you know, instilling pride in their work by, you know, having those, you know, qualifications and experiential learning opportunities. Again, you know, to Leon's point about the enabling environment infograph there, you know, all those are, you know, part and partial to a critical path, you know, to ensure that, you know, we are putting systems in place to be able to, you know, sustain healthy living for the long term. And I'll just share one more quote from one of our hereditary chiefs. He said that our policies need to be so ironclad that it doesn't matter who we're talking about. And so, you know, in small remote First Nations, that can become kind of political and sticky, you know, when, you know, you're trying to support somebody, a member of your family or your auntie or whatever. If we're deferring to ironclad policies that are ratified and we have the buy-in from our community, that's going to go a long way.
Perfect. Yeah, it sounds like community support and community buy-in is very integral to creating long-term sustainability for anything really. But I mean, if you can have that, I think that really creates a good environment for success. Okay, so I believe we have time for one more question before we start the breakouts. So this is a question. I'll start with you again, Leona. What message would you give to another First Nation, Métis, or Inuit community who is looking to take on a project to improve healthy energy living for their own members?
Thank you, Corey. Yeah, again, buy-in, as I said in my last comment, there is buy-in and engaging our people and, bringing them up to speed on, what energy literacy is and helping, our nation to draw upon our intrinsic values of, sustainability and using that as a framework to create clean energy plants, renewable and regenerative clean energy plants is very important. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Leona. So we're getting close to time, so we have some time. Leon, I'll ask you the same question. What message would you give to another First Nation or Métis Inuit community looking to take on a project?
It's a lot of work. I want to be honest about that. But it's a lot of exciting work. There's a lot to know. There's a lot of actually resource within your community and a lot of stories that you need to hear and listen to get the big picture, to create, I get a really good full understanding of what it is. But it's also very, very exciting to think that you can do something totally new, totally different, and have something that's representative of who you are as people, and not something that was prescribed to you a few generations back. So keep your mind open, and there'll be amazing things that come from that.
Perfect. Great answer, Leon. So lastly, Melissa, I'll ask you the same question, and we have about a minute.
Okay. What I would say or suggest doing is starting with the easy obtainable stuff like power bars, energy efficient appliances, LED bulbs. In Ontario, Save on Energy has a program that's free. It's called First Nations Conservation Program. I would also suggest getting the community energy plans done, because this can help identify the community's energy priorities. IESO in Ontario also has funding for that. And also utilize the ICE network, because there's tons of information on there. Yeah, you can find out lots of information on the ICE network. That's it.
Thank you very much, and thanks for mentioning the ICE network. I'm actually working hard on putting resources up there, and this session will be on there as well as a CoLab in the coming weeks. Okay, so I think with the Q&A wrapping up here, we'll actually move into the breakout rooms. So the audience will have some time to ask more questions, get some of their questions out of the way, and get a little bit more intimate and share their experiences. So we'll be moving into those here now.
Are we on?
We're back.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. So I should have mentioned that your cameras and microphones would automatically turn on when going into the breakout rooms. So hopefully everyone was wearing pants. So we have a few minutes left here. We have a couple of minutes left. We're closing up. Hopefully the discussions went well. And so I have no further questions for any of you. You all shared your experiences and what you're working on. And so I think we're going to wrap up the session here now. The next session does begin in about 4 minutes time. It is the energy efficiency bingo game. So that will be fun. So don't miss that. We have a couple of prizes there set up.
Awesome. Thank you so